So Amanda Nunes and Julianna Pena are apparently the front runners to be the new coaches of the next season of The Ultimate Fighter, and Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson is basically in the works because the UFC said that they were interested in making that matchup next. I'm going to break down both of these stories on today's MMA News reaction video, starting with the UFC hates The Ultimate Fighter and wants to see it burn. They don't want their own TV show The Ultimate Fighter to succeed. They want to ruin the show forever and end it at 30 seasons. They hate The Ultimate Fighter, they've hated it for years, and they've wanted to get rid of it year after year, which is why they've made Whittaker versus Gastelum, which no one cared about, Volkanovski versus Ortega, which no one cared about, and now Nunes versus Pena 2, which again, nobody cares about being on The Ultimate Fighter, because it's not interesting whatsoever. There are so many better choices you could have made, including Chandler versus Ferguson, which was announced or as in the works, or the UFC's interested in making that fight, so why not do Chandler versus Ferguson? Why not get McGregor involved? Why not do Ngannou versus Jones, seeing as Ngannou's going to be out for 9 months? Why not do so many other things other than Nunes versus Pena 2? I have no idea. The UFC wants to see its own company fail and hates The Ultimate Fighter, and I saw this coming because I said it before. As soon as they announced Covington versus Masvidal in March that they were going to pull this fucking shit on The Ultimate Fighter and kill this show dead. I loved this show. I loved this show, and they kill it dead every fucking time. Moreno versus Figueiredo 4, you want to do a quadrilogy? Let's set it up with TUF. They both just took a lot of damage, have them do The Ultimate Fighter, and then we can have them fight later on down the line. Like, make some fucking good choices, you $10 billion company. No one cares about the women's MMA. No one cares about women's MMA. How many fucking times do we have to say it? She's the lowest selling pay-per-view draw in ESPN history. All of the lowest selling pay-per-views under ESPN are headlined by fucking Nunes. No one gives a fuck. And I knew they were going to do this. I said they were going to do this. Fuck off. Fuck, man. Such fucking shit. Like, honestly, their shit talking at the press conference should have been their fucking interview. Should have been their job interview. Their application process. Look at their shit talking at the press conference. Realise that Nunes literally fucking said 50 times over and over again, "You lie, you liar, you liar, man, you're lying, you're lying," even though Pena wasn't even lying about what she was saying, and realise that these fuckers are box office poison and will sink your show into the fucking ground. I love The Ultimate Fighter, man. I love The Ultimate Fighter. It was one of my favourite shows. Every season was great because they had great coaches. And now back to fucking back. Gaethje Alvarez, Whittaker Gastelum, Volkanovski Ortega. Sorry for fucking forgetting about that one because it was absolute shit. Now Nunes Pena 2. 4 in a row. Gaethje Alvarez, Nunes Pena 2. I can't Whittaker Gastelum, and then Volkanovski Ortega. I can't fucking... Am I wrong in saying those are the worst choices ever? I didn't even think Gaethje versus Alvarez was that bad, but it was bad. It was absolutely shit. The entire season was shit. Whittaker Gastelum, absolute shit. They were nice to each other the entire time. The one highlight was both of them running around a racetrack. That was genuinely the highlight of the fucking season. Ortega versus Volkanovski. You put these two guys on. They have a little bit of beef back and forth, fair play, but it all seemed so forced. And the best prank on the show was Brian Ortega trying to scare an Australian with a fucking snake. And Volkanovski didn't even get scared. And still Ortega was like, dying of laughter in the corridor, even though nothing happened because they're still trying anything they possibly can to make good television, but they can't fucking do it with the content that they're giving us. Dillashaw Cruz 2. Why not? Why not any of these matchups? Cejudo against Dillashaw on The Ultimate Fighter in a rematch. Why not any of these matchups? Why Nunes Pena 2? They want to kill the show dead, and they want the I don't think they want to be the ones that say we stop the Ultimate Fighter. They want whatever person they're doing a TV deal with to say we can't have the Ultimate Fighter anymore, and then the UFC can say, sorry fans, it's out of our hands, the TV networks don't want to do the Ultimate Fighter anymore. But why not? Why wouldn't you want people to watch the Ultimate Fighter? Season after season after fucking season, they put the least interesting people as the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter. You just stated a couple of hours before you said that these two were the front runners that you were interested in making Chandler versus Ferguson, which we'll talk about in a minute, but let me get my fucking anger out on this first. Why not Chandler versus Ferguson? Why not Moreno Figueiredo 4? I know people are going to say, why not Covington Jorge? It's too late. They're having a fight in March. It's literally about 5 or 6 weeks away now, so they can't do it on the Ultimate Fighter. It's way too late to do that. So I'm thinking, realistically, there are so many more interesting people. Marvin Vettori versus Luke Rockhold. I will watch that over this shit. It's going to be bullshit. It's going to be absolute bullshit. And the worst part is, these regional men fighters, these regional male fighters, are going to have to hold back their laughter whilst these Nunes and Pena shit fighters try and teach them how to throw punches on the Ultimate Fighter. It's so sad, man. I can feel the cringe in the men's training room right now as they watch these two women catfight with each other in the middle of the show and just have these pointless bitchy arguments that mean nothing whatsoever. I get what they're doing. They want Julianna Pena to humiliate Amanda Nunes on the show because she's just beaten her, and I'm sure Nunes will get really angry because Pena's going to be talking her shit the entire time. I understand they're going to build up this fight itself, but you don't use the Ultimate Fighter to build up a fight. You use a fight to build up the Ultimate Fighter so people fucking watch the show in the first place. There's no point building up a fight on the Ultimate Fighter if the fight itself doesn't bring people to watch it on the Ultimate Fighter anyway. Then there's no fucking building up. Volkanovski Ortega just showed this. For fuck's sake. But here we are. But here we fucking are. Delay Lewis versus Tuivasa, do them as the coaches. Like, I genuinely would have taken so much over this. Darren Till, Uriah Hall. I wouldn't have even minded that Uriah Hall was on the Ultimate Fighter. He's a good little throwback. You can say he was on the Ultimate Fighter, and here he is again, coaching now, and Darren Till back against the wall. He's going to be on the Ultimate Fighter as well, and maybe they would have had some fun interactions. Maybe even wait for Strickland to beat Jack Hermansson if he does. Fingers crossed. I think Strickland will beat Jack Hermansson, but if he does, then you could have done Vettori versus Strickland on the Ultimate Fighter, and the memes would have flown. But here we are. Strap yourself in for Nunes versus Pena 2. It's very hard to be an MMA fan at the moment, guys. It's extremely hard to be an MMA fan and keep a positive mindset about this sport because they seem to want it to fail. They seem to want the sport to fail. Sean O'Malley's injured with a broken thumb. O'Malley versus Vera 2 on the Ultimate Fighter. I'll genuinely make a video tomorrow where I break down 10 fights that would have been better for the Ultimate Fighter over Nunes versus Pena, because this is absolute fucking dog shit, man. I don't know what to do anymore. But here we are. How to make sure no one on the Ultimate Fighter has any hype coming out of the show whatsoever. Make sure no one watches it by doing Nunes versus Pena 2. No one's gonna fucking watch this shit. And I hate this fucking simps, I hate white people sometimes. Listen, yeah. Joby the Hutt. Connor Joby. This could be really interesting. Watching Nunes have a prolonged interaction with someone who whooped her is something we've never seen. How fun it's going to be, Joby. Ah, Joby. MMA Guru called it. Oh my god, someone even said it in the even post on MMA Island. Someone said MMA Guru called it. I did fucking call it, okay? Then we move on. The crowd goes mild. Such a wasted opportunity for Colby versus Jorge on TUF, but they had to have a main event in March. But they didn't, because they had main events, but they moved them, so they didn't. They just had to make sure that it couldn't possibly be Covington Jorge on TUF. For some fucking reason, they didn't want it to be that. Won't be watching is the top comment. All aboard to No Viewsville. I like that one there. That was nice. Could you pick any more boring people? I know it's fucking ridiculous. Nate or Dustin. They could have had Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier on The Ultimate Fighter and paid them more money in the meantime. There's so many ways you could have done this shit, man. Ngannou's injured, out for 9 months. That's where you capitalise. Figueiredo and Moreno just went to war. They need some time off. That's where you capitalise with The Ultimate Fighter. But now these absolute bums of fighters are going to unironically try and teach regional male MMA fighters how to fight. And if you've watched their last fight, you will realise they look like absolute shit technically. And all of these male fighters, I believe they're doing bigger weight classes as well, are going to have to hold back laughter while Nunes tries to teach them how to strike, even though she struck like a literal Cage Warriors amateur in her last performance as the female GOAT of the sport. I'm sick of this shit, and it pisses me off every day, but here we are again, moving on to another story. Fuck! Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson is apparently being in the works. The UFC is very interested in making that fight happen. Dana White said that he's very interested in making that fight happen. So I hope that this fight happens next. Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. It makes all the sense in the world. I would much rather Tony Ferguson wait for a Conor McGregor or Michael Chandler wait for a Conor McGregor, because there's someone who's going to need that name. But I guess if they make it soon enough, i.e. in April or maybe May, something like that, then the winner could call out Conor McGregor and try and get that fight against Conor McGregor. That would be ideal right now. I mean, no one's really calling out Conor McGregor at the moment, so any big lightweight bout that happens in the top 10 that's going to get Conor McGregor towards a title shot is going to be something that Conor McGregor is very interested in. So why not do Chandler Ferguson, hopefully sooner rather than later, hopefully in April. And I'm sure if Michael Chandler wins, which I do believe he will, he'll make the most of that microphone time and call out Conor McGregor. I can almost 100% confirm that. Chandler hasn't lost any stock after his loss to Justin Gaethje. If he beats Tony Ferguson, he's going to be right back up the rankings. I don't know where he's going to be right now. Where is he in the rankings right now? I believe Michael Chandler is number 5. So yes, genuinely, the loser of Dariush Makhachev is going to move below Michael Chandler. And then Chandler could end up at number 4. Could even end up at number 3. I doubt that, though. He could end up at number 4 in the lightweight division here, and will end up at number 4 if he does beat Tony Ferguson, who's at number 7. And Tony Ferguson arguably already should be above Rafael Dos Anjos, who he's beaten at lightweight before, but we ignore that. Either way, Tony Ferguson could also be at number 4 with win over Michael Chandler as well, if the loser of Dariush Makhachev is Makhachev, I guess, because he's already lost to Dariush. But either way, I believe Chandler's going to win by first round KO. It's very sad that I believe this. I do believe that Tony Ferguson has an amazing chance of winning. If Chandler gets out of that first round and Tony Ferguson has landed a couple of great front kicks to the body, maybe then Tony Ferguson's going to be able to do quite well. But I just see Michael Chandler, even half guard camping against Tony Ferguson. I could see him doing that and just winning the fight. But we'll see how it goes down. Can't get over that they've just fucking said, hey MMA fans, we fucking hate you. Here's Nunes Pena on TUF. But either way, Ferguson versus Chandler is the fight they've gone with. Good matchup. It makes sense ranking-wise. I know people are going to say, why are they doing this to Tony Ferguson? But it does make sense. Number 5 versus number 7. They're both big names. People are like, why do this to Tony Ferguson? But then they're also like, hey, Gregor Gillespie, stop calling out Tony Ferguson. You haven't earned it. So it's one or the other. He takes on an up-and-comer who's coming off some good wins, like Gamrot or Gillespie or someone like that. Or you take on an up-and-comer, or not an up-and-comer, a big-time name at the top who's coming off a loss in Michael Chandler. And I guess that's what they went with. Chandler versus Ferguson. It's a good matchup in the lightweight division. The winner of it can get Conor McGregor. I just don't believe Tony Ferguson's best days are ahead of him. And I think he's going to get chinned in the first round if I had to make a guess. So I'm not going to be picking Tony Ferguson here. Very sad day. extremely sad day that we're going to have to see the end of Tony Ferguson, but if he wins, good stuff. He can call out Conor McGregor. I just don't see him winning this one. I think Michael Chandler gets this one done by KO in the first round. I think it's about time Tony Ferguson got KO'd in his career. He's taken a shit ton of damage over his recent fights, mainly against Justin Gaethje, but of course, he got his knee torn apart by Beneil Dariush, his arm torn apart by Charles Oliveira, and at his age, those injuries just aren't going to return to 100%, so I think we're going to see Chandler come out there with some spite, with some anger, with some motivation to know what he can get if he wins, and I think he lays out Ferguson in the first round brutally by first round KO, because Ferguson's head movement is average at best, and he gets clipped on the chin in nearly every fight, and Lando Venata had him doing a chicken dance, so I'm going to go with Michael Chandler. Good matchup, I guess. Hopefully they make it soon, but I swear to fucking God, if Tony Ferguson's management does not secure a 5-round fight for him, he should genuinely have them investigated on conspiracy to murder Tony Ferguson. Maybe Tony Ferguson's wife has hired his management team to get rid of Tony Ferguson so she can get all of his money that he leaves behind. I don't know what's going on in Tony Ferguson's life right now, but if Tony Ferguson is not in a 5-round fight in his next matchup, his management team hates him and they want him to fail. I have no idea why they don't book him in 5-rounders. He is perfect for a 5-rounder. He is Tony Ferguson. He's literally maybe the best person to fight in a 5-rounder because he's hard to finish. And if you do blow out your gas going for a finish in the first round like Chandler might do, he could maybe come back in the later rounds with his toughness, with his cardio, and just sort of plod away and chip away at Chandler as the fight goes on and beat him over a 5-rounder. But in my opinion, they probably won't do this as a headliner of a fight night, which is the only way that it could be a 5-rounder, in my opinion. I don't see them doing this as a co-main event of a pay-per-view, and I don't think they can because all of the pay-per-views coming up after March, I believe, have 2 title fights on them or more, so they can't do a 5-rounder on the main card, but I reckon they are going to do a pay-per-view main card fight with these two because they're big names and they're going to want to make that pay-per-view money. And if they put this fight on the card and make promo for it, I reckon Chandler and Ferguson bring at least 50k pay-per-view buys, and that's being very, like, understanding. They could well bring 100k between them, but I reckon they at least chunk in a nice 50k pay-per-view buys to any pay-per-view card. I just hope they do this on a fight night main event. We've got a bunch of fight night main events in April that haven't been assigned yet. We just got one of them assigned for Luque versus Muhammad 2, but April should be the next focus for the UFC. We've got April 9th, which is Volkanovski Korean Zombie pay-per-view card. We've got Luque Muhammad April 16th. We've got April 23rd with no main event. We've got April 30th with no main event. And we've got May 7th in UFC 274, which does have all of the fights on the card already. So, I'm hoping April 30th, Chandler versus Ferguson, fight night main event, put a great card underneath it, or put some of the prospects underneath it, because people are going to tune in for Chandler versus Ferguson anyway, so make that the main event of the fight night on April 30th, and then do the main event of the fight night on April the 23rd as Darren Till versus Uriah Hall, because Till was too injured to fight in March, so push it back a month, and do it in April, and that's all of your fight night main events in April secured. Make that happen, please. I swear to God, if they book him in another 3-rounder, I'm going to have an aneurysm. But we move on. Tomorrow I'm making a video called 10 fights I'd rather watch on The Ultimate Fighter than Nunes versus Pena 2. And also, let's go through some other news as well, which would be Chael Sonnen's misdemeanor was completely dismissed. Good for him. Undefeated still remains to this day. Jan Blachowicz pulled out of his fight against Alexander Rakic on March the 26th. 8 weeks. 7 weeks away, so that's that. Unfortunate, but I guess they're going to do Rakic versus Smith too, and they're just going to call up Smith and say, hey Smith, we'll bump up your contract, jump in there against Alexander Rakic in the main event in 7 weeks. There's still a lot of time to build another fight around. I don't know what Jan Blachowicz is going to do next, but maybe he can get the loser of Jiri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira, depending on how injured he's going to be, but hopefully Rakic gets a replacement there. Other than that, Jeremy Stevens signed to PFL. I'm just going to refresh the page right now. That's all there is. Eagle FC takes place tomorrow, but I don't really care. So we'll see how it goes. That's that. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip, I'll see you later. I'm probably on suicide watch. Like, this is... You couldn't have picked a worse set of coaches, and I called it because I know this company like the back of my fucking hand. They're against themselves, like every company in the Western world right now. They don't want what's best, they want what's socially right. And it annoys me. Or should I say socially left. Goodbye. Click that button up there. Toodle pip, I'll see you later. Goodbye.